Many view our later years as a slow fade into darkness, a time of simply waiting. But what if this view is incomplete? There are 9 paths of thought and action that can lead one into deep discontent in life's final chapter. If your choices align with even a few of these, your time of harvest could become a season of regret. Stay with me, as the final insight we will explore is a truly profound one, a silent retreat. Observing those in their advanced years within our world today, one can see a truth that quietly stirs the soul. You see souls who have navigated the long river of life, gathered immense experience, and weathered countless seasons, yet now exist in a state of stillness that is not peace. They seem to breathe without truly feeling alive. They are present in body, but absent in spirit. And the deepest sorrow lies in knowing this slow fading is not a destiny. It is a path walked one choice at a time, through actions that dim the inner light. The first path to a troubled spirit is paved with the heavy stones of resentment. For so many, their hearts become vessels filled with old pains, grievances from long ago, and memories of bitterness they carry as if they were precious. They recount stories of being wronged decades past, of how expectations were not met, of how life denied them what they felt they earned. This narrative of hurt becomes their core identity, the primary fuel for their daily existence. But holding on to such grievances is like gripping a burning coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Each day you decide to revisit these old wounds. You choose to be tethered to what was. You remain a prisoner of moments that have passed, and people who may have long forgotten the event. Those who walk this path speak with a certain sharpness. They find discord follows them, and they wonder at their own profound loneliness. This pattern can diminish a life more thoroughly than any physical ailment. The body continues its journey of aging, but the spirit has already grown weary, burdened by the weight of things left unresolved. When you cling to old hurts, you are not imposing a sentence on another. You are sentencing yourself to relive the pain, moment by moment. You are dedicating the precious present to the faded past, allowing it to overshadow any new light. The way forward is not to deny that the wound occurred. It is to understand that releasing it is a gift not to them, but to yourself. It is the conscious choice of inner freedom over the familiar weight of being wronged. A dangerous stillness. The second path that ensures a shadowed later life is the gradual withdrawal into isolation. We can witness individuals slowly pulling back from the stream of life, from relationships, from community, telling themselves this is strength and self-reliance when it is truly a growing state of quiet desperation. They believe they have no need for others, that connection requires too much energy, that solitude is simpler than the dance of human relationships. This retreat is seldom a sudden choice. It's a sequence of small decisions, refusing an invitation because it feels like a great effort, letting calls go unanswered as conversations feel draining, or ceasing old hobbies that stir memories of more energetic times. Every act of withdrawal seems logical, yet collectively they construct a silent fortress. This fortress not only blocks out challenges, but also shuts out the light of joy, of connection, and of the vital energy that flows from being with others. There are elders who pass days without speaking a word to another soul, with no one to share a simple thought, no one to notice their quiet struggles, and no one to truly mark their passing. They reside in spaces surrounded by relics of a life once shared with people who are no longer present, fading from the world long before their last breath. This isolation is so often born from a pride that masquerades as independence. The fear of being a burden is actually a fear of vulnerability, of admitting the fundamental human need for connection is as present at 80 as it was at 8. So, they choose the slow ache of loneliness over the perceived risk of reaching out. But we are beings of connection, like trees in a forest that thrive through an interconnected root system. Those who age with grace understand this. They nurture their relationships and remain woven into the fabric of their communities, knowing that giving and receiving are not optional, but essential for the spirit's journey. A stagnant mind, The third path astray is to let the mind become like a pond with no fresh source of water, where new thoughts can no longer take root. One sees many who cease their journey of learning upon retirement, who no longer seek mental challenges, filling their days with passive consumption. Soon they wonder at the feeling of emptiness, of being mentally adrift. The mind is a current. If it stops flowing, it becomes murky. When you cease to feed it new perspectives, new challenges, new landscapes, it starts to churn on its own sediment, replaying old thoughts and reinforcing old limits. You can become mentally rigid, resistant to change, unable to perceive new horizons, and locked into the person you were years ago. One witnesses people of great intellect become echoes of their former selves, holding the belief that learning is a pursuit for the young. They set aside difficult books, sidestep meaningful debates, and stop exploring new skills. They adopt the narrative of being too old, too tired to expand, and bit by bit their own mind becomes a limitation. The most vital elders are those who remain students of life, down to their very last day. They explore new fields, engage with new tools, and entertain ideas that question their own beliefs. They know that mental aliveness is an attitude, a flame of curiosity that has no expiration date. By keeping your mind active and flowing, you nurture your sense of wonder and your capacity for joy. You stay engaged not by trying to be young, but by being fully alive in the present, a neglected vessel. The fourth misguided path is to surrender the body to decline, as if it were an inevitable decree. There is a tendency to view the body as a failing machine, accepting its aches and limitations as a natural fate of aging. So, movement ceases, self-care is abandoned, and then comes the bewilderment that each day feels like a battle against your own physical form. Your body is not an opponent. It is your sacred vessel for this earthly journey. It has been your steadfast partner for decades, adapting and healing. It deserves deep reverence and mindful care, not neglect. The deeper truth is that much of what is called the aging process is simply the cumulative effect of choice, not a biological certainty. The stiffness, the loss of strength, the persistent discomfort, these things are not predetermined. They can often be prevented, improved, or even shifted through consistent, gentle attention. There are those in their later decades who move with a grace and stability many younger people lack. This difference is not owed to fortune, but to daily choices. They chose to continue moving when stillness was easier. They chose to nurture their vessel with care, not to see it as a weight to be carried. Physical vitality in advanced years is not a competition with your past self. It is about mindfully maintaining the simple capacity to live with autonomy, to engage with your world, and to inhabit a body that is a peaceful home for your spirit, a forsaken purpose. The fifth way to stray from a path of vitality is to believe that retirement from a career means retirement from life's meaning. We see so many who cultivate skills and gather wisdom over a lifetime, only to set it all aside at a designated age. They tell themselves they have earned the right to have no more purpose, no more contribution. But we are creatures who seek meaning. We need to feel that our existence ripples outwards, that we have something to offer that is larger than our own personal comfort. When you abandon your sense of purpose, you disconnect from the very current that makes life feel alive. We observe once vibrant, skilled individuals who find themselves adrift in anxiety or melancholy soon after retirement. They no longer have a reason that pulls them out of bed, no challenge to meet, no meaningful direction for their energy. They sought freedom from duty and found instead a freedom from meaning. The elders who flourish know that purpose evolves, but it does not vanish. While the form of their work may change, they discover new avenues to guide, to teach, and to make a positive impact. They share their wisdom with younger generations, contribute to causes that move them, or simply become a source of profound stability and love for their families. Purpose is not an award you receive from a job. It is a direction you choose, a commitment to stay engaged, to continue growing, and to keep offering your unique light to the world at any age. A vacant spirit, The sixth path that leads to inner turmoil is facing the reality of our finite time without any form of spiritual grounding, without a sense of being part of something vast and interconnected. As the body changes, as external pleasures become less potent, as friends and kin begin their final journeys, we all must face the undeniable truth of our limited time. At this stage, you need something more profound than past successes or material ease to nourish your spirit. We observe many who spend a lifetime gathering things, achievements, and titles, only to find in their final years that none of these offer solace when confronted with the great questions. Who am I without my roles? What has this journey meant? What happens when this vessel is still? How can I face this great unknown without fear? Without some form of inner work, these questions can become a source of deep anxiety instead of a doorway to peace. Those who have neglected their inner life often cling to external things, trying to avoid the spiritual dimension of being human. But those who have cultivated an inner stillness, whether through a formal practice, a philosophy, or a deep contemplation of nature's cycles, approach their final years with a sense of quiet acceptance. They sense they are part of a larger tapestry, that their life has a meaning woven into the whole, and that the end of one form is a transformation, not an annihilation. Spiritual cultivation is not about a specific set of rules. It is about developing the inner wellspring that allows you to meet life's greatest transitions with courage and a quiet heart. A broken foundation. The seventh path that invites struggle is a lack of foresight that turns the autumn of life into a season of scarcity, dependence, and constant worry. We can observe people who had good streams of income for decades end up in a state of distress in their later years because they did not learn to conserve, to plan, or to prepare for their future needs. Financial well-being in later life is not about immense wealth. It is about having the resources to maintain your dignity, your autonomy, and your fundamental peace when you are no longer exchanging your time for income. It is about not being a source of deep worry for your children and not facing impossible choices between essentials like food and medicine. The truth is, preparing for this time is not a complex mystery. It simply requires a mindful discipline, an understanding of delayed reward that our modern culture often discourages. Many spend years living right at the edge of their means, acquiring things that are not needed with resources that are not secured, telling themselves that planning is for later. But later always arrives. And when it does, the consequences of a fragile foundation become clear. The stress of financial instability touches every part of your being, your health, your relationships, and your ability to savor the time you have. Those who navigate their later years with grace have almost always understood one principle: live with a sense of simple sufficiency, save with consistency, and prepare for their future needs. They understood that while money is not the source of inner peace, a secure foundation provides the quiet ground upon which it can flourish. A final insight: the eighth misguided choice is to see life's natural end as an adversary to be battled, rather than as a natural conclusion to be met with wisdom. Our culture often teaches us to deny this final transition, to fight it endlessly, to view any contemplation of it as a surrender. But this very resistance creates the deep fear it seeks to avoid. In times of transition, those who feel the greatest turmoil are not always those with the weakest bodies. They are those with spirits unready for the final chapter. They have expended so much energy avoiding this fundamental truth that when it can no longer be denied, they are met with an internal storm. But this leads us to the ninth and most profound choice of all, the one that can transform a life of regret into one of deep fulfillment. It is the refusal to believe that aging is a process of becoming less. It is, in its highest form, a process of becoming more fully yourself than you have ever been. It is the culmination of every lesson, every experience, every breath you have ever taken. It is your opportunity to embody your life's deepest knowing. When you resist the current of aging instead of embracing it as the final expression of your being, when you chase a fading image of youth instead of inhabiting your age with magnificence, when you view your life's markings as flaws instead of as a map of your journey, you miss the incredible power that comes from a life fully lived. The elders who truly radiate light are not those who appear the most youthful. They are those who wear their years as a mantle of honor, who have distilled their experience into wisdom, their wounds into strength, and their journey into a depth of character that only a full life can bestow.